It just got me thinking about Christians, non-Christians dating together. I mean, he said his wife. So, I mean, I thought, oh, okay, well, let's put this to Frank and see what his view is on where this is. And, you know, I don't want to I'm not casting any judgment on their situation. I don't think we should either. But interesting. I mean, that would be tough because you can do the things together on a day-to-day. That's all well and good. But then on the Sunday, he was by himself and she was somewhere else. And I thought, well, that could be tough. That would be tough for me.
Yeah. And in the church that I recently finished up with, that my wife and I planted, we had a few couples where the wife would come to church, the husband didn't have a faith. And there were some struggles in those relationships. And so it was on us as a church to show that it was safe, that it was okay. Because in some instances, their wives had been in churches that were not good. And so the husbands very understandably had terrible views of their wives going to church. But through time, we built friendships. And in a marriage, Scripture kind of Paul gives this indication that the one who is faithful is in a way blessing the other one through their faithfulness. So in a marriage, I'd say it can work. Once you're married, you've made that commitment, you've made those vows, you make it work. And you work to bless the other, to show them that the faith is a blessing. When it comes to dating, on the other hand, before you get married, you've got to make some decisions about who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And when you're in that lovey-dovey puppy love phase where everything seems really good and you've got someone who has a very different set of values from you and they see and understand the world very differently, you probably think you can make it work and keep going. And there are relationships that do work really, really well. But I would say wisdom would say, find someone who aligns with the deepest values you hold to. And if you're a person who calls yourself a Christian, Jesus comes first. And when the rubber meets the road, when the relationship isn't going so well, how's that going to play out? When you have children, how's that going to play out? So make that call early, that you're going to align yourself with someone who holds the same values.
Tough one, eh? I mean, because we're talking general kind of stuff here, right? And obviously anyone who's listening, your situation is individual, right? Yes. And it's all very complex. So I hope no one's, not that I think anyone will, but just be like, right, got the call there. I know what to do. But it's a tough one to navigate, right? It talks in the Bible about, and I remember in a way back in the day in a youth group setting, they did this example of like getting someone to stand up on a chair. And they were like, now you stand on the chair and try and pull me up onto the chair. They were like, good luck, right? Obviously they can't do it. And then they're like, now I'm going to try and pull you off the chair. It would be very easy to do. Right, and then they're like, "This is what being unequally yoked looks like." It's like terrifying thing of you're going to lose your faith by this person who's going to yank you away from Jesus, which is all very probably damaging stuff. But what is it? What is the verse around unequally yoked? Was it 2 Corinthians?
Yeah, 2 Corinthians 6:14, and the RSV that I use talks about being. I'm not sure if it's just a misspelling, but it says mismated. Do not be mismated. Do not be mismatched with an unbeliever. I don't like that analogy, the chair one, because it's not a given that if you end up married to someone who doesn't believe that you're going to be the one who loses your faith. There are many instances where it goes in the other direction, but it's not guaranteed. When Paul goes into that, he's not specifically talking about marriage. He's applying it to many different things. You could apply it to things like business partnership. Like if you're in a business partnership and giving generously is a value for you, but your partner wants to maximize the profits, you've got a mismatch going on. There's an unequal yoking there. It's this recognition that if you're a believer alongside unbelievers in a very deep connection, not just friendship here, but a very deep connection, which marriage is the deepest of connections, we're pulling in different directions. We've got different value systems playing out. Our priorities are different. So he's saying don't end up in those spaces where you're in those deep connections because you're going to have the conflict of pulling in different directions. And it's easier to not have to navigate that.
Absolutely. Tough situations.
Just on the value thing, like you say, your deepest values and things like that. I know you're talking more of just like Because some people might say, oh, but they're, morally, their values are completely aligned. And people totally can hold all the values maybe of a Christian person in the same, talking about generosity and all empathy, all these things that are like, I don't know, gifts from God, good things, but maybe just their core belief of being like, but I don't believe in Jesus going to the cross, all of that.
Yeah.
But, the Christian value system, happy with all of that. We could, we align on all of those things. You think people might be like, well, that's kind of okay. There's just this one little thing there.
And because we live in the West, pretty much most people have a shared value system to a degree. But if I believe in God, that value system is objective. It can't be changed. There are specific things that I believe and hold to be true in how I should live and how I should treat other people that are unchangeable. They're non-negotiable. I mold myself to them as opposed to molding my value system to myself. So if you hit different stages in life where things start to question whether you should be doing particular things, if it's not objective, if you don't believe in a God that has those things intrinsically woven into creation and what we're meant to do, those things become malleable. Especially when the real struggles of life hit. And it's in those real struggles that unequal yoking starts to really press. It doesn't matter when life's goes well, but marriages will always hit a point and have different phases where it's not going so well. And if the value system is malleable, you have the danger there of pulling apart.